A double overtime thriller between two classic ACC rivals, Cal and Virginia Tech. Cal won the game. They're the ones who opened the second overtime on an 8-0 run, kind of put a nail in the coffin pretty early on in that second overtime. Suryakovich had 29 points, lead the way. We talked about his need to step up and have a big game and his poor shooting on the season. He ended up 11 of 20, 3 of 6 from three. Did okay. It was a close game. What was your biggest takeaway? Because I don't know if it was necessarily a good game.
Yeah, close doesn't mean good. The excitement in overtime was nice. That was a good changeup.
Yep.
My biggest takeaway, tip your cap to Cal winning their first ever ACC tournament game. Just the late game execution I thought was really brutal in regulation. They went in the final 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I guess it was they scored 1 point in the final 3 minutes and 5 seconds. No field goals at all. And this is a Virginia Tech team that's been pretty brutal defensively over the past month. They've surrendered at least 1.2 points per possession in five of their past 10 games. Like that was concerning to me that they could not get any offense down the stretch. Like there was even one particular possession where uh, Wilkinson, I think it was back to back at the end of regulation, where maybe they were down one or it might have been tied. But Wilkinson just put his head down and tried to get to the basket. And the first time he got swatted by Toby Lawal, and the ball went out of bounds. They inbounded it, and Jeremiah Wilkinson did the exact same thing and just drove into traffic and lost the ball.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments where I'm like, dude, Andrei Stojakovic is cooking everybody. He would get to that little like he would back down his man and shoot over them, and he was hitting everything or getting to his pull up jumper and like knocking them all down. To me, not scripting something for him at the end of regulation, which maybe Virginia Tech did something to take him away. I just don't buy that Virginia Tech's defense is that good to like
Yeah.
fully neutralize him, you know? That being said, I will say like on a more positive note, it was good to see Redis Petritis make some big plays. I thought his
Yep.
impact on the glass was huge for Cal.
Yep.
And they got decent production out of Sissoko. I thought he kind of missed some bunnies at the rim, but he was physical enough. And even when he was on the bench, I didn't think I mean, Lee Dort finished with 0 points, but it didn't feel like there was that much of a drop off defensively when he was in the game. So, as a whole, I thought it was ugly, ugly game. Virginia Tech is really bad, but there's still some like positives you can take from Cal. And, even going into this matchup with Stanford, this is the team that they played close in both their losses this year. I think they lost by 8 points the first time around, by 5 points the second time around. So it's like, maybe you talk yourself into a little momentum and the third time being the charm.
Yeah, we have a full preview for that Cal Stanford game on the channel, so make sure you check that out. We talked in the preview too. I think you brought up, Virginia Tech spacing and the fact they want to shoot threes. You're not going to win games when you're 3 of 25 from three. Now Cal was 5 of 26, so it wasn't much better. But like you take Stojakovic out of this game, and the team shoot a combined what is this 2 of 45 from three,
Oh,
or sorry, 5 of 45 if you take him
still
out.
brutal, man. That's like barely
Yeah,
any better. Yeah,
that's
Jaden Young with a
atrocious.
mighty 0 for 11. Like, what are we doing here? You got like,
Like I
I'm
I, under, I understand that like that's how math tells you to play and the spacing that it creates. Like I understand all of that, but you have to have shooters and you have to have guys making shots for it to work. Like this is one of the themes of the day in the ACC was poor 3 point shooting, and
Mhm.
it was teams who want to shoot a lot of threes, but teams that don't have 3 point shooters.
I just think like again, I know I still believe in Mike Young. I still
Yes,
think if they resource him, he can get Virginia Tech back to a respectable place. But this is so like it was just bad basketball on their part. They're a turnover machine. I mean, they had
I
that
need.
turnover with 3 seconds left where Blackshear intercepted the pass. They just punt the ball into the stands half the time. It's really lazy passes on the perimeter. I thought anytime Cal like blitz their ball screens, it usually resulted in a turnover. Like sometimes I thought Cal wasn't aggressive enough defensively with how easily they were forcing turnovers. And this Virginia Tech
Yeah.
team is just a shell of what we saw early on in Mike Young's tenure and going back to the Buzz Williams era.
Did you see Mike Young's tweet or Mike Young's comments after the game post game?
No, what do you say?
So he was asked, this is from the reporter, quote, "You said a bunch of times that you really liked this group. What was missing to allow them to have more success?" Mike Young's answer. A lot was missing. A lot was missing. Just call it what it is. They're great kids and a pleasure to work with. We've got to get more talented, and we're going to. Quick. Reporter then follows up. You said you want to get more talented. As far as the turnover ratio, is that something that can be fixed in the portal? Mike Young's response. It better be. It better be. I'm not living through that again.
Wow, that is a man who is done with this roster.
Mike Young is a phenomenal, by all accounts, a very nice man, phenomenal human being. That is him basically saying he hated everybody on this team. Not as people, but as basketball players.
I appreciate the honesty. Like we saw. Remember when UCLA lost 5 games in a row and then Mick Cronin threw his players under the bus and they ripped
Yeah.
off a 7 game winning streak? Public callouts work sometimes. Which, granted, half these dudes probably won't be on the roster next year. They'll be playing at George Washington or American or a DMV school that's like a mid or low major, but
Maryland Eastern Shore, man.
yeah, Maryland Eastern Shore. There's plenty of options throughout the state of Virginia and into Maryland. Maybe even the Delaware Blue Hens are looking to replace some of that 3-point production. There's a bunch of players on this roster that would fit Delaware like a glove. So, yeah, I'm glad he was honest. I'm glad for his sake. Hopefully, they can get some more resources and better NIL. Just because, like, yeah, I mean, just that roster up and down it's
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
tough to
they've
tap.
said. That's what they've said. We'll see. If you're Cal, you shot the ball poorly, but you got the great Stojakovic game. You won the battle on the glass. You forced 18 turnovers. Like there are some things with Cal I think you can build on. And we talked
Mhm.
about it how they were terrible down the stretch of the season, but a lot of those losses were close. And a ball bounced a different direction. Maybe they win a number of those games as opposed to the
Mhm.
loss. Cal Stanford game should be interesting. Well, it's perfect nightcap for an
Mhm.
ACC tournament. Just Cal Stanford.
Put some coffee on.
ACC after dark. Again, full preview on that game on the channel, so make sure you check that out. We're with you for every game throughout the ACC tournament with previews and recaps. So make sure you like and subscribe.